Single dad CEO discovers a little girl on Christmas Eve. Her hidden story is life-changing and The street glittered like a scene from a Christmas movie. Lights danced on every house, shining hope just like the ones he was trying to bring to his daughter, Emma. Tony, a hard-working single dad and CEO in his late 30s, felt the weight of the world pressing down. With his tech startup hanging by a thread, all he wanted was to create a magical Christmas for Emma, but the flicker of his childhood memories settled uncomfortably in his chest. He could still feel the chill of those lonely nights when happiness seemed miles away. On a chilly Christmas Eve, with last-minute shopping to tackle, he barely had time to breathe. He dashed through the local community center, hoping to find a special gift that would light up Emma's face. As he hurried past the gymnasium, something caught his eye: a small figure huddled in the corner. A little girl, perhaps no older than 7, sat alone, clutching a teddy bear that looked almost as worn as she was. Her big eyes glimmered like the Christmas lights around, yet they conveyed a profound sadness. "Hey there," Tony said softly, crouching to her level. "What is your name?" "Lily," she whispered, her voice almost drowned out by the distant sounds of laughter and festivities from other families. As he learned about her life spent bouncing in and out of foster homes, his heart ached. Here she sat, while the world spun around her in joy. She represented every overlooked child during this season of giving, a stark contrast to his own daughter bundled in warmth and luxury. For a moment, he thought of Emma, who would be eagerly awaiting her gifts. The connection felt off, almost like a weighty tug on his heartstrings. Chasing that elusive corporate success, he had made sacrifices: time, happiness, family. Would it ever be enough? Could the shiny toys replace the warmth of genuine love and compassion? "I need to go," he murmured, fighting back tears that threatened to spill as he stood up. The spirit of Christmas called to him, begging him to act. In a moment of resolve, Tony reached for his phone. "Emma, Dad. Are you okay?" Emma's voice was the light in his life, and tonight, he wanted her to be a part of something more significant than herself. "Can you meet me at the community center?" "There is someone here who needs us, and I need your help," he replied, his heart racing with hope. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they wrapped presents and baked cookies, laughter echoed through their home. The warmth of their current happiness blossomed, but it shadowed the reality of Lily's loneliness. An emotional pull drew them closer to the idea of inviting her into their home for Christmas, but doubt crept into their hearts. Could they really make a difference in her life? As midnight approached, the glow of hope flickered, illuminating questions of justice and family in Tony's heart. He stood at the doorway, glancing at the twinkling lights, feeling the weight of uncertainty. Christmas was supposed to be about miracles, and now he questioned, could they be Lily's miracle? As they prepared for a decision that would redefine their lives forever, an unknown path loomed before them, filled with the promise of change. Tony paced nervously, glancing out at the shimmering holiday decorations that adorned the streets. His phone buzzed in his pocket, prompting him to pull it out. A simple message from Emma read, "On my way. Can't wait to see who needs our help." Tony couldn't help but smile at her enthusiasm. It was this genuine kindness that made him love her even more deeply. He took a deep breath and turned back to Lily, who remained seated on the gym floor, her tiny hand still wrapped around that old teddy bear. The innocence in her eyes contrasted starkly with the hardships she had endured. How long had it been since anyone truly acknowledged her presence? The door swung open, and Emma burst in, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Dad! I'm here." When she spotted Lily, her face lit up with curiosity. "Who is this?" "This is Lily," Tony said, kneeling beside his daughter. She could use some friends this Christmas. Emma walked over, dropping to her knees to match Lily's eye level. Hi, Lily. I'm Emma. Do you like Christmas cookies? She asked, her voice bright and cheerful. Lily's face seemed to soften as a hint of a smile broke through her timid demeanor. I guess I like cookies, she whispered. Want to help us make some? Emma offered, her excitement infectious. Tony watched as Emma reached out, inviting Lily into a world of warmth and joy. This small act of compassion could change everything. Lily hesitated, glancing warily at Tony. He nodded gently, urging her to accept the invitation. It will be fun, I promise, he said with a sincerity that resonated through the air. With a small nod, Lily stood and took Emma's hand. They headed toward the smells of cinnamon and sugar that wafted through the kitchen, leaving Tony behind with a rush of emotions. Watching them, he felt a stirring in his heart, hope was flickering bright again, a light that he had almost forgotten in the chaos of his life. They spent the next hour making cookies, flour dusting the countertops and laughter filling the air. Tony couldn't resist joining in, playfully tossing flour at the girls and causing a fit of giggles to erupt. In those moments, he realized how connected they were, bound by simple joys that echoed the true spirit of the season. As they cleaned up, Tony took Lily aside, crouching down to her level. Can I ask you something? He began, his voice gentle. What would make Christmas special for you this year? Lily's eyes shimmered with uncertainty, and for a brief moment, Tony could see the walls she had built around her heart. I don't know, she finally admitted. Whatever it is, we can figure it out together, he promised, hoping to break through the fear she was cloaked in. The night wore on with the three of them sharing stories and laughter. It felt warm and alive, but Tony couldn't shake the concern that hovered over them all. They were enjoying a temporary escape, but the reality of Lily's situation loomed large in the background. As the evening reached its climax, they gathered by the Christmas tree, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of twinkling lights. Emma led them in a carol, the sounds rich with sincerity. When the final note was sung, an unexpected silence enveloped the room. What if we could keep doing this? Emma suggested suddenly, her eyes bright with dreams. What if we made it so Lily didn't have to be alone anymore? Tony's heart raced at the thought. The implications of her words were enormous. Was it really possible to bring Lily into their lives? Could they carve out a place for her in their hearts? Just then, he noticed a shadow lurking at the doorway, and his stomach dropped. A tall figure stepped in, her stern face barely visible in the dim light. I'm sorry, she said, stepping forward. I'm here to take Lily home. The shift in atmosphere was palpable, and Tony's pulse quickened at the sudden threat of separation. Lily's expression mirrored his own surprise, fear dancing in her wide eyes. Wait! Tony exclaimed, desperately seeking a way to protect this fragile light. What does this mean for Christmas? For her. As the mystery deepened, panic clutched his heart. Would this Christmas be a breaking point, or the bitter start of a new journey for the three of them? Would they find a way to pull together, or would life's harsh realities tear them apart? Tony's heart raced as he took a step toward the unexpected visitor, desperately searching for the right words. Who are you? He asked, his voice steadier than he felt. The woman crossed her arms, her gaze unwavering. I'm Marie, she said sharply. I'm Lily's legal guardian. There's been a misunderstanding. I'm here to take her back. Lily's hands clutched the teddy bear tighter, her eyes wide and frightened. In that moment, the warm holiday atmosphere that had enveloped them faded, replaced by a chilling reality. Tony glanced at Emma, who was frozen in disbelief beside him. Misunderstanding? Tony replied, feeling the heat of frustration rising in his cheeks. Lily has been through so much. She needs a safe space. She was just starting to open up. Marie's expression didn't soften. You think I don't care? She is my responsibility. You're just a stranger. Stranger? I'm trying to be someone she can lean on, Tony pleaded, willing to risk all to protect the fragile connection that was forming. The holidays can be hard. She deserves a chance to feel like she belongs. Emma, who had been silent, stepped forward. But it's Christmas. Can't you see how much fun she is having with us? We can help her. We want to help. Marie's brow furrowed at Emma's emotional appeal, but she remained resolute. This is not a game. We have rules we must follow. Lily, do you want to go with her? Tony asked, knowing this was a loaded question, but he needed to know. His heart cringed as he heard his own voice crack. Lily's eyes brimmed with tears, and she shook her head violently. No. I don't want to go. Marie's resolve faltered for just a moment, her lips tightening as if wrestling with the weight of her duty. You can't keep her against my will. Can't we find a way around this? Tony asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Even if it's temporary. Just until after Christmas. I know she needs this. Silence filled the room, the soft flicker of the Christmas lights creating a strange contrast to the tension. Tony held his breath, waiting for any glimmer of hope. Emma spoke again, her voice small yet brave. We could help her get through the holidays. Maybe you could help us make it official. For a brief moment, Marie's expression softened, as if she was reconsidering. But then her expression hardened again. You don't understand what you're asking. This isn't just a few days. You can't change that with cookies and laughter. No, but we can change how she feels, Tony countered, feeling the urgency settle in his gut. We want her to feel loved, to feel something good. Lily looked up at him, the flicker of hope in her eyes amplifying everything he felt inside, a pulse that throbbed with the wish to protect her. Then, the unexpected happened. Marie's phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her attention away momentarily. She stepped back, glancing at the screen. With a resigned sigh, she turned back to them, her face conflicted. I need to speak with my supervisor. Maybe we can work something out. Tony's eyes widened at that hint of hope, and he could hear Emma's barely contained excitement. What if they could create a bridge between both worlds? As Marie stepped out of the room to make the call, the moment hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. Could they keep Lily safe? More importantly, could they bond together as a family in the time they had? Two sets of eyes turned to Lily. Tony knelt beside her, offering her comfort. No matter what happens, we will always be here for you, he whispered, his heart aching for her. Lily's small frame shook slightly as she nodded, the warmth of his words cocooning her with a fragile but reassuring strength. Neither of them knew how long they had until Marie returned, but the conversation had shifted. They were all fighting for something bigger than themselves. What happens next? As uncertainty lingered, an unexpected sound broke the silence. The jingle of Christmas bells echoed from outside, and all three exchanged glances, sensing that something momentous was on the horizon. Would they discover a way to bring Lily into their lives, or would the holidays slip through their fingers like snow melting in the sun? As the jingle of the Christmas bells faded, an eerie stillness wrapped around the room. Tony swallowed hard, eyes darting toward the door as he wrestled with a blend of hope and dread. What if Marie returned with an outright refusal? What if this was it? Lily, hey, he whispered, breaking the weight of silence. Do you want to play a game while we wait? We can come up with a story, just like the ones in your books. Lily nodded slowly, her grip on the teddy bear loosening just a touch. The innocence on her face reminded him of the magic of childhood, a light he refused to let extinguish. Okay. How about a brave knight and a lost princess? Tony suggested, heart racing as he rallied his spirit. Lily's eyes glimmered. But the knight needs special powers. Like maybe he can fly. Right. Emma chimed in, caught up in their imaginative escape. And he can talk to animals, too. They could all help him find the path to the castle. Lily beamed, her laughter chiming like the bells outside, momentarily washing away her fears. For a moment, they drifted away from reality, weaving scenarios of courage and hope. But then, the door creaked open, and Marie stepped back inside, a shadow flickering behind her. Tony's heart sank. The shift in her stance was telling. "Look, I spoke with my supervisor," Marie said, her tone clipped but tinged with uncertainty. "They're willing to offer a temporary solution." Hope surged within Tony, causing his pulse to race. "What does that mean?" "I can allow her to stay with you until after the holidays," Marie replied, her gaze darting to Lily, who peered up, wide-eyed and hopeful. "But there are conditions. You will have to check in regularly, and I'll need to talk to you about her care." "Of course, we can do that." Emma's grip tightened around Tony's arm, as if grounding herself in this possibility. "But it's only until the new year," Marie warned, her voice firm. "After that, I will be forced to reevaluate her living situation." Tony's heart sank again. "We'll make the most of it," he assured, but inside, uncertainty gnawed at him. What would happen after this brief interlude? Lily's face flushed with emotion as the weight of Marie's words settled. "So I get to stay?" she whispered, her eyes shining like the ornaments on the tree. "Yes, Lily," Marie said, her tone softening, almost apologetic. "Let's just take it one step at a time." Lily's smile was a spark that lit up the room. "Thank you," she exclaimed, throwing her arms around Tony, who caught her with a rush of relief and warmth. He held her tight, feeling as if he could shield her from the uncertainties ahead. "We will make it a wonderful Christmas. We promise," he whispered into her hair, feeling her happiness wrap around his heart like a blanket against the cold. "But just remember," Marie's voice broke through, somber and serious. "This is temporary. Enjoy each day, but don't forget the reality awaiting." As the weight of her words hung heavy in the air, Tony squeezed Lily tighter, an unspoken promise lingering between them. He wouldn't let any harsh truths shatter this newfound joy. Would they truly find a way to create a home together, or would the ticking clock claim their chance for good? Just then, the doorbell chimed, echoing Marie's warning, pulling Tony from his thoughts. Who could that be? He wondered aloud, sharing a glance with Emma. Lily perked up, curious and eager. Maybe it's Santa. The door swung open, revealing a familiar face, and as Tony gasped, a flood of emotions surged through him. Could this turn of events be exactly what they all needed? Tony's heart raced as he took in the familiar figure standing in the doorway. It was Hannah, an old friend from college, her face lighting up with surprise as their eyes met. "What are you doing here?" Tony exclaimed, the shock still echoing in his voice. "Tony. I thought I'd knocked on the wrong door at first," Hannah laughed softly, but her smile quickly faded as she noticed Lily clinging to him, her teddy bear nestled closely under her arm. This is Lily," Tony said, glancing down at the girl who had filled his life with unexpected joy and worry. "She's here with us for the holidays, at least for now." Hannah stepped closer, kneeling to meet Lily's wide-eyed gaze. "Hi there. I love your teddy bear. What's his name?" "Teddy." Lily beamed, her little fingers tightening around her bear as if it were a shield. Tony watched as Hannah's expression shifted from curiosity to concern, noting the sadness in the child's eyes. "Is everything okay, Tony?" she asked softly, her voice now laced with an urgency he couldn't ignore. "Marie just gave us some time," he replied, trying to keep things light for Lily. Inside, the doubts crept back. Was a few days really enough to build a lifeline for Lily, or would it unravel just as quickly? Good, Hannah took a moment, her brow furrowing. "But you need support in this. I never thought I'd see you as a dad, but it's good to witness. Your heart's in the right place." There was a warmth to her words, but also an undeniable truth that dug deep. He couldn't just be a temporary shelter. If he was going to do this, he needed to give Lily everything he had. "Lily, sensing the tension in the room, tugged on Tony's sleeve. "Can we show Hannah the Christmas tree? I want her to see the shiny things." "Of course," Tony replied, grateful for the distraction. As they moved into the living room, the lights reflected off the ornaments like jewels scattered across a velvet canvas. Lily was bouncing on her feet, sharing stories about each decoration as if they held magic. Hannah watched the girl with a heartwarming smile, but there was something else in her eyes. Concern? Or was it the flicker of an idea? "You know, I might have some connections that could help," she said, stealing a glance at Tony when Lily was busy counting the little Santas. "If you're open to it, I've been working with some local charities focusing on family and children's support." Tony felt the weight of her words. A part of him wanted to shut down the conversation, afraid of the implications. Was he strong enough to accept help? But there was another part of him that yearned for the support not just for him, but for Lily. "Maybe," he said slowly, testing the waters. "What do you have in mind?" "Let us grab some coffee later, just the two of us. I can share some ideas, and you'll see it's not as daunting as it feels right now." There was a sincerity in her voice that struck a chord deep in his chest. Lily suddenly burst forth. "Can we make cookies too? I want to make cookies like the ones in the story." Hannah chuckled, her eyes shimmering with joy. "That sounds like the perfect plan, little chef. Cookies and a bit of magic." For the first time since they'd received Marie's news, there was a flicker of hope kindling in Tony's heart. The idea of not being alone in this, of having a supportive community, felt intoxicating. As Lily hummed with anticipation, Tony shared a glance with Hannah. Could this be the beginning of something that transformed their world? They weren't just trying to survive anymore, maybe, just maybe, they could thrive. But as the warmth of excitement enveloped them, Tony's mind whirred with unanswered questions. What obstacles lay ahead? What truths did he still need to confront? "All right, let us all make this a Christmas to remember," he smiled, forcing back the doubts. But in the echo of that smile was the uncertainty of the path they had yet to navigate. And in that moment, he felt the weight of a new realization settle in: the magic of Christmas could only fulfill its promise if he opened himself up to it and to the journey ahead. As the laughter of Lily and the warm presence of Hannah filled the room, could this moment be the key to finding a home for them all, or would life throw another unexpected curveball their way? The following day brought a crisp chill in the air, the kind that made Tony's cheeks feel alive. He stirred from bed to the sounds of laughter echoing through the house. Lily's delighted squeals intermingled with Hannah's warm laughter. It wrapped around him like a comforter, pulling him from the lingering shadows of worry. As he made his way to the kitchen, the scent of cinnamon and sugar invaded his senses. Hannah stood by the stove, sifting flour, while Lily was busy stirring a bowl filled with cookie dough, her tiny tongue poking out in concentration. It painted a picture of happiness that felt surreal. Tony paused for a moment, leaning against the doorframe, watching the two of them. He could hardly remember the last time he'd felt such a soft glow in the depths of his heart. "Good morning, Chef Tony," Hannah called out cheerfully, glancing over her shoulder. "Do you want to help us make some cookie masterpieces? Is this a real job, or are you just recruiting me for the cleaning crew afterward?" he teased, stepping into the room. Hannah laughed. "You'll be whatever you want. Master cookie maker or chief cleanup officer." Lily giggled, throwing flour at Hannah in an explosion of white. Tony's heart swelled at the innocent chaos and warmth. But beneath that surface cheer, a wave of uncertainty washed over him. Was he really prepared for this unexpected leap into parenting? Could he make a real, lasting change in Lily's life, or was he just playing house? As the cookies baked, Hannah shared her ideas. "You know, if you really want to give Lily a stable home, there are community centers that have programs for dads like you. It might be good for both of you to find a support circle." Tony listened, nodding. The idea made sense, yet the very thought of reaching out felt like stripping himself bare and standing in the open. But what if I can't meet their expectations? What if? His voice trailed off, reality creeping in. What ifs are just that what ifs, Hannah said softly, her gaze steady. What if you find a tribe that supports your journey? What if you discover you're not alone in this? Her words lingered in the air, turning over in Tony's mind. Lily, oblivious to the weight of the conversation, pulled him back into the moment. Look, Daddy. They're ready. She squealed, pointing to the golden brown cookies cooling on the rack. Little star shapes. He marveled, feeling a surge of joy and pride. He was overwhelmed with love for this girl he barely knew, yet felt so protective of. Soon, they gathered around the table, the warmth of freshly baked cookies filling the room. It felt perfect, the laughter mixing with the aroma, a symphony of hope. As he watched Lily's tiny hands decorate the cookies with icing, Hannah leaned closer. You're doing all right, you know. It takes time, but you have what it takes. Just keep opening up. Tony smiled, beneath it all, a flicker of fear gnawed at him. He wasn't quite sure how to pull this off. The doorbell rang, magnifying the moment of uncertainty. A sense of urgency filled the air. Who could it be? Hannah glanced at Tony, her expression shifting. Do you want me to check? She asked softly, sensing his hesitation. No, I'll do it, he replied, steeling himself. As he opened the door, a cold wind rushed in, but it wasn't the weather that chilled him. Standing there was a tall figure, someone Tony hadn't expected to see, yet felt he couldn't ignore. It was Marie. The mother of Lily. At that moment, every decision he'd made became uncertain. Questions bristled in the air. Why now? What did she want? As the festive warmth of the house faded, anxiety swept over him. The holiday magic flickered like a candle in the wind. Could the very person he hoped to protect really be about to change everything? With his heart pounding and emotions tangled, the weight of the past loomed heavy. What would happen next? Tony's pulse raced as he gazed at Marie. It had been months since he'd seen her. The memories were bittersweet. Her absence in Lily's life had pained him, yet the idea of her being back felt like stirring a wasp's nest. Hey, Tony, Marie said, her voice soft but steady, cutting through the chilly air between them. Can I come in? He hesitated, glancing back at Hannah and Lily. They were blissfully unaware, busy at the kitchen table, icing their cookie creations. What did she want? Did she even have a right to ask for anything now? Yeah, sure, he finally said, stepping aside. His heart sank slightly as she crossed the threshold, bringing in a gust of cool air and unresolved feelings. Marie looked around the kitchen, her gaze falling on all the cookie decorations. It looks nice. Feels festive. Yeah, he replied, trying to keep his voice neutral. Just making some holiday cheer for Lily. She nodded, biting her lip, unsure. I wanted to talk about Lily. Tony braced himself. Talk about her? You mean after all this time? Why now? Marie sighed, running a hand through her hair, a gesture that felt too familiar and troubling. I get it. I've been distant. I thought, well, that it was for the best. But I've been thinking about her. A lot. Thinking? He echoed, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. You haven't been a part of her life. Not really. You vanished. And now you just show up. I know, she said, her gaze locking with his. I'm not proud of it. But things changed for me. I've been working, trying to get my life together. I'm not perfect, but I want to be a mother to her. Be a mother? Tony's voice barely disguised his frustration. You think you can just walk back in after disappearing? She has a life now. With me. I don't want anything to disrupt that. The tension thickened like the frosting on the cookies. Marie stepped closer, her eyes glistening with a mixture of remorse and determination. I'm not here to take her from you. I want to build something. I want to be a support. For Lily, for you. Lily's laughter echoed through the kitchen, her blissful ignorance of the conversation washing over them like a wave. It forced Tony to breathe, to recall why he had fought so hard for her. She deserved stability. Family. But Marie had been a ghost in their lives. Could he really trust her words now? Look, he said, softer now, the rage ebbing. You have to understand that the stakes are high. She's finally found some peace. Marie glanced to the kitchen, where Lily was now giggling with Hannah, icing smeared on her cheek. I can help. I want to be part of her life. I promise I've changed. Tony's thoughts collided. The past wove in and out of his mind, tangled with hope and fear. What if she was serious? What if she could truly be a good mother, stepping into the role he never imagined he'd have to take on so completely? Just give me a chance, Marie urged, sensing his turmoil. I can't change the past, but I can try. For her. His heart clenched, caught in the crossfire of longing and doubt. The cookies sat half-decorated, their sugary sweetness a stark contrast to the bitterness in his own heart. Why should I believe you? Tony asked quietly, searching her expression for sincerity. Because I'm not the same person I was, she replied, tears shimmering in her eyes. I want the best for Lily, and I thought maybe together, we can make that happen. The door to possibilities creaked open just a sliver, but uncertainty loomed large. He didn't have all the answers, but the weight of Marie's words sank into his chest, lighting a flicker of hope alongside the fear. Could he really allow her back into their lives? What happens next? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper, a plea for direction. As she opened her mouth to respond, a burst of laughter pealed from the kitchen, pulling them both back to the reality of the room. He felt like he was standing between two futures, one lit and inviting, the other murky and unknown. Before either could say anything more, there was a little voice. Daddy! Are you coming back to decorate cookies? Tony turned to see Lily, her face bright with joy, her eyes wide and trusting him completely. At that moment, it hit him the decision he faced wasn't just about him or Marie. It was about Lily. With that thought echoing in his mind, he looked back at Marie, ready to explore just how deep the waters of their past actually ran, and what that would mean for all three of them. But as she opened her mouth again, an unexpected knock echoed through the house, interrupting everything. What now? He thought, anxiety creeping back in. Could this day get any more complicated? Tony's heart sank again as the knock resonated through the house, steady and heavy. He turned towards the door, curiosity mingling with dread. Who could it be? Would this added layer of uncertainty be a distraction or a complication? Marie's gaze drifted toward the noise, her expression shifting from hope to uncertainty. Do you want me to stay? She asked, hesitantly taking a step back toward the door. No, he said, his voice firm. Stay. I'll handle it. With each step towards the door, he felt the weight of responsibility pressing harder. As he reached for the knob, he could sense both Marie and Lily watching him. He opened the door to find an old friend, Jake, standing there, breath steaming in the cold air. His cheeks were flushed from the chill, and he wore a sheepish grin. Hey, Tony. Surprised to see you. Can I come in? Jake's friendly demeanor was instantly disarming. Sure, Tony replied, stepping aside again. He quickly glanced back at Marie and Lily. Lily was now peeking out from behind Hannah, her big brown eyes darting between the newcomer and her dad. What is going on? Jake asked, tightening his coat as he stepped into the warm kitchen. His gaze took in the chaotic festive scene. Looks like a holiday explosion in here. Lily's excitement cut through the growing tension. Jake. We're decorating cookies. Do you want to help? Jake grinned. Absolutely. I'd love to. Great. Grab that icing. She exclaimed, pointing to the colorful tubes on the table. Tony felt his heart ease for a moment, watching as Jake kneeled next to Lily and began to explain the best way to ice a cookie. It felt good to see her so happy. But a knot still tightened in his stomach as he turned back to Marie, who remained somewhat detached, lingering in the doorway. "Do you want to join?" he asked, intentionally bringing her into the moment. It felt right to make an effort to include her, even when his instincts whispered caution. Marie hesitated but finally nodded, stepping closer. She walked to the table and began picking up a tube of blue icing, her expression softening as she watched Lily and Jake. There was a flicker of understanding in her eyes, as if she was recognizing what she had missed, what she was about to confront. "We were just talking," Tony said softly, trying to keep the tension of their earlier conversation simmering beneath the surface. About being part of Lily's life." His words hung in the air, heavy yet somehow releasing a sliver of hope that maybe they could all find a way forward. "Oh. Is that what is going on?" Jake chimed in casually, focused on shaping a star-shaped cookie with Lily. "Sounds like quite the conversation for decorating cookies." Tony shot Jake a look, silently urging him to shift the topic. But instead, Jake continued, his tone light and buoyant. "I mean, this is life, isn't it? Figuring out family dynamics and all that." Marie shot Tony a quick glance, and for a split second, he could see a spark of vulnerability in her eyes, as if she were wrestling with the clarity of who she was and what she wanted to be. Can we talk later?" she asked, voice low, once again inching away from the playful chaos. Tony felt a swell of understanding and concern. "Yeah. Once the cookies are done." Just then, a loud crash of laughter burst from the kitchen. Lily had knocked over a bowl of sprinkles, sending a colorful cascade down onto the table. Marie's surprise turned to laughter, and suddenly, it felt like they were teetering on the edge of something messy and beautiful. But before Tony could take a breath, another knock interrupted the moment, sharper this time. Unease settled back into the air. "Seriously? Who else is at the door?" Tony said, shaking his head. Could this day end with a little less drama? He stepped towards the door, already feeling that familiar tension twist in his gut again. "What now?" Tony opened the door, a mix of annoyance and trepidation washing over him. He was unprepared for the sight before him. Standing there was a woman, dressed in a long, dark coat, her hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Her expression was one of urgency, eyes darting from Tony to the chaotic kitchen behind him. "Tony!" she exclaimed, momentarily taken aback as she recomposed herself. "I'm sorry to show up like this. I know it's a strange time, but it's important." "Rachel?" Tony blinked in disbelief. It had been years since he'd seen her. Back when they were both navigating the world of young adulthood, back when everything felt simpler. "What is going on? I really need to talk to you. Is it okay if I come in?" Yeah, sure." He stepped back to let her in, his mind racing with questions. As Rachel crossed the threshold, Jake and Lily's laughter faded slightly at the sight of the newcomer. The warmth of the kitchen hung in the air, contrasting with the chill that seemed to follow Rachel in. "Hey, Lily," Jake said, trying to keep the mood light. "Want to show Rachel how to ice cookies?" "Yeah." Lily beamed, but Tony noticed the curious shadow in her eyes as she studied Rachel. "Rachel," he started cautiously, leading her a bit further from the baking chaos. "What is so important?" She inhaled deeply, her expression shifting from urgency to something softer. "It's about Lily. I didn't plan on bringing this up today, but I'm concerned." A chill ran down Tony's spine. "Concerned? About what?" Rachel looked around, lowering her voice deliberately. "There are some things from your past that, well, they've resurfaced. And they involve Lily." Tony's heart raced. "What do you mean?" He could see the struggle in her eyes as she found the words. "I can't go into too much detail right now. Just please trust me. There are some people looking for information, and it's vital that you protect Lily from them. Protect? The word hung heavy in the air. Tony felt his protective instincts flare. Who's looking for her? What do they want? I can't say much more at this moment. Rachel's voice trembled slightly, and for the first time, Tony sensed genuine fear in her tone. I just know you need to safeguard her. While a loud crash erupted from the kitchen, pulling their attention back. Lily had knocked over another bowl, adding to the chaos. Despite the mess, she giggled, and the infectious sound lightened the mood, if only for a moment. See? It's all a little bit messy, Jake chuckled, trying to get Lily to clean up. But Tony felt that knot tighten again in his gut, the joyful noise now colliding with his growing discomfort. What do I need to do? He pressed. Do you know who these people are? Rachel shook her head. Not exactly. It's a complicated situation, but you have to be careful. If they find anything you would never forgive yourself. The laughter in the kitchen faded as Tony's focus returned to the weight of Rachel's words. It felt like everything he had was under siege. Behind them, Marie had stepped closer, sensing the shift in the room's energy. Her brow furrowed as she caught snippets of the conversation. Tony, we all know family is messy. Jake's voice cut through, trying to ease the tension. Maybe it's time to get back to decorating. Jake, what if Marie began, but Tony interrupted. I need a moment, he said, both a plea and a command. As the laughter bubbled back up, Tony couldn't shake his worry. He felt a desperate need to shield Lily from whatever storm was brewing. But how would he do that when he didn't even know what he was up against? In that moment, everything felt precarious, like threads woven delicately into fabric about to unravel. He turned back to Rachel, determination set in his features. You're going to tell me everything you know. Now. He could sense a crossroads before him, one where his roles of father and protector collided painfully with his past. What lay ahead was unknown, but he knew that every choice mattered now more than ever. And just then, another knock echoed through the house, more urgent than before. What was waiting on the other side? The knock landed like a drumbeat in an already chaotic symphony. Tony's heart raced, the unease brimming over with every sound reverberating in the room. Could this day get any more complicated? Stay right here, he instructed Rachel, his voice steady despite the storm brewing inside him. He took a deep breath and turned back toward the door, his resolve hardening. Whatever was behind that door, he needed to face it. For Lily. He pulled the door open, exposing the chill of the world outside. On the stoop stood two serious-looking individuals, one in a crisp suit and the other, a woman in a heavy coat, holding a clipboard. Their expressions shifted from curiosity to purpose as they assessed him and the activity bubbling just behind him. Mr. Roberts? The man asked, his voice even, but laced with a hint of urgency. Yes, that's me. What is going on? Tony replied cautiously, a knot forming in his stomach. We're with Child Protective Services, the woman stated, her voice steady but softened by its purpose. We have questions regarding the welfare of a minor in your care. Tony's heart plummeted. Lily? Yes. The man stepped forward, and Tony instinctively moved to shield the doorway. We're here to ensure her safety, and we need to ask you a few questions. This is urgent. Chaos erupted in Tony's mind. He glanced back into the kitchen, where laughter still floated through the air, light and bright. Everything felt shattered when juxtaposed with the sharp reality of what was unfolding on his doorstep. Rachel's voice came from behind him, breaking the tension. You need to let them in, Tony. It's better this way. No, not like this, he shot back, panic threading through his voice. They're not taking her away. We assure you, we're not here to take her unless it's necessary. We're concerned about her welfare, the woman pressed. Can you please step aside for a moment? Tony hesitated, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He knew he had to take care of Lily, but at what cost? The memory of Marie's words echoed in the back of his mind. The stakes were high. "Fine," he muttered, stepping aside. "But I swear, if you try to take her." The officials entered, their calm demeanor standing in stark contrast to the chaos unfolding behind him. Lily and Jake paused in their cookie-decorating antics, confusion flashing across their faces as the new visitors stepped closer. "Lily, sweetheart, can you please come here?" The woman prompted gently, kneeling to meet the child's gaze. Tony's heart ached as he watched Lily's bright smile dim ever so slightly. She looked at him, searching for reassurance, and he instinctively nodded. "It's okay, honey. They just want to check on you." With tentative steps, Lily approached, her tiny hands still dusted with icing. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice small but filled with a brave curiosity. "We just want to chat for a moment. Can you tell us how you've been feeling lately?" the man asked, kneeling beside her, warmth in his expression. Good?" Lily replied, uncertainty creeping into her voice. "I'm baking cookies." "Yes, we can see that," the woman chimed in, her tone friendly. "They look delicious. Who are you here with?" "My dad and Marie," Lily explained, glancing back at Tony, whose heart fluttered with protective instincts. It was the first time he had truly embraced the familial ties tethering him to Lily. The officials continued their inquiries, maintaining a gentle demeanor, but every question gnawed at him. They gathered details, piecing together a fragile understanding of Lily's life with him. Time blurred, tick-tock louder than any laughter that rang in the room. But amidst the inquiries, Tony's mind raced. Was he a good enough dad? Could he handle the truth of what had happened with Marie? The weight of responsibility for Lily crystallized in its importance as never before. The temporary safety they had built felt like it was slipping through his fingers. He had welcomed Lily into his world, but these questions wrapped him in a cold reality. The past groaned beneath the surface, ready to trip them. All up at the worst moment. After what felt like hours, Lily's eyes shifted from the officials back to him. I love it here," she suddenly exclaimed, her voice rising with conviction. "I want to stay." The determination in her eyes sent a surge of hope through him. He felt proud of her resilience, of the connection they had forged. He stepped forward, pulling her close. "And you will, sweetheart. No one is taking you away from me." The officials shared a glance, their expressions unreadable. "We're here to make sure of that," the man replied. "But we need to establish the best support for her moving forward." Rachel's presence loomed behind him, and Tony felt her supportive energy. He realized in that moment that they were in this together. He could rally a community. He could fight for her happiness. Before he could consider his next words, Marie stepped forward, surprising everyone. "Wait. I can help. I want to be part of this, too." Her voice held a strange sense of purpose, a desperation that made everyone pause. The officials turned toward her, eyebrows raised. "You have a stake in this?" "Yes. I want to do better for Lily," Marie continued, resolution thrumming through her words. "You may have thought I was gone, but I don't want to be a ghost in her life anymore. Let me help." For the first time since her arrival, Tony felt an inkling of trust, a gap starting to close. If they could work together, they could stabilize Lily's life, even if the past threatened to encroach upon them. "All right. I think we can work with this," the man said, pulling out a tablet and starting to type. Hope surged within Tony. They could turn things around. Maybe Lily would have the chance to know love from more than one source. Maybe together they could create a safe haven built on understanding. As they stood in a circle, Lily at the very center, Tony felt her little hand slip into his. They weren't alone, not anymore. A web of relationships forming, old and new weaving together, creating a tapestry of resilience. Finally, a voice broke through the tension. "So can I go back to decorating cookies now?" Lily chirped, breaking the seriousness like a breath of fresh air. The laughter returned, scattering the heaviness that had weighed them all down. And as the holiday warmth filled the space again, Tony captured the moment in his heart, realizing together, through struggle, love could grow. Would they navigate the complexities ahead? He didn't have all the answers, but today, love had already drawn them closer. Maybe that was enough. In those moments spent decorating cookies, amidst laughter and the scent of sprinkles, they began to forge a path together. And as he watched Lily's smile beam brighter than any star, Tony knew this Christmas would be more than just a holiday. It would be the beginning of their family's transformation, a new narrative filled with hope, laughter, and the promise of a place to truly call home. If you felt inspired by this story, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I'd love to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.